All right, I think we're ready to go. Sorry, my mic was muted up until now, so you didn't hear any of my saying. Just hold on a second. This is going to be GM prep for Cyberpunk 2020 second edition. The game 2020++. The first GM prep. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, this is between episode 2 and 3. We didn't have episode 3 this week. Spootnik was sick. He is recovering, and we're hoping he gets better quickly. In the meantime, I'm going to use my suddenly free weekend to do a couple of GM preps, I suppose. We'll see if people can handle it, so I just want to front end a few things. This is going to be filled with spoilers. If you don't like that, stop watching now. All right, number 2, I'm going to be listening to the music that I want to listen to. I've been told by the general public that that's terrible, so know what you're getting into. And I'll basically only be listening to stuff that I have on Roll20, because I'll be using Roll20 as my audio player, so hopefully it won't be too bad for you. I'll keep the baby metal out of it and the anime shit. What else can I say? If you guys spoil this stuff to the cast, I just don't do it again. It's that simple. If you ruin things for everybody, then you ruin things for everyone. So it's happened before, which is why I sound very harsh about it. You get one shot, one opportunity to take your dreams here. So don't mess it up for you, don't mess it up for everybody. Tonight, we're doing drugs, gangs, and if there's enough time, because I don't know how much time that's going to take, we'll do a little bit of something else. Now, friends, if you're at home watching this live and you're in Twitch chat, maybe you can help me out here, okay? I was thinking maybe we can get in on this together. If you're on Cyberpunk 2020, you have your second edition rule book that you can get on DriveThruRPG, totally legally. By the way, I have a DriveThruRPG affiliate link on my Twitch channel. You go there, you hit that thing, and if you buy a book within a certain amount of time so that it's still all triggered and registered on your cookies and whatever, I get a little bit of that cash. That cash is then used to buy more stuff from DriveThruRPG for me, because you might not know this, but I go through a lot of rule books. Man, one time I checked it and I had like $40, and I was shocked because people had bought dozens of copies of Battletech. That was back when I first started doing Battletech. A lot of people bought Battletech all at the same time. Most suggestions you've made have been rejected. I don't know that that's true. Well, maybe in general. I don't know that you've made suggestions for Cyberpunk 2020. The big one I remember, Sun Spirit, that you dropped on Oath of Endostil, you wanted them shitty old style mechs, but they wanted to be fresh. Except for that Black Knight. That Black Knight is not fresh. That's stale. Okay, so let's assume you have your Cyberpunk 2020 second edition rulebook open. If you've got a physical copy, we're going to be looking at page 122. You've got your digital copy, it's page 126. Section 9, drugs. We're going to be doing that, but let me give you an overview. Let me take off some ambient music real quick. I don't know what some of these tracks are. I'm listening to them so that I can get an idea of what they sound like for future shows. People said that they did not like the Tinker's Workshop during the Twitch countdown. What did James say? Sounds like a goblin changing a head gasket. All right, so welcome. You're behind the scenes now. So if you've been watching the show, you know that there was a problem that needed to be solved, and that problem was we didn't know how the sleep gun darts worked, and that is because Glimo actually needed to make and buy sleep darts. So the ammo for his gun, he thought it came with a drug, but it doesn't. The ammo for the needle gun has a spot you load a drug in. You have to buy the needles, and then you have to load the drug canisters into the needles. So it's actually really complicated. So what I need to do is make a really basic synthetic sleep drug that should be relatively easy to resist. Now, the other thing to note is that if the sleep gun darts don't penetrate your armor, they do not inject the drug, so it's the kind of thing you want to shoot somebody in the leg or the arm with where they're not wearing armor. Or, you know, take their armor off and stab them. Like they did with that one guy, Jimmy Johnson, which is definitely not his name. Now, I'm also going to want to make a new drug, at least one personalized drug for Redline City. And that's... Listen, friends, I'll let you folks in chat, if you want to farm for ideas here, if you guys come up with an interesting drug. I just want to say this. One of my favorite tabletop role-playing game shows is called Stars Without Numbers Swan Song. It's done by JP and Adam Coble. Now, there's a lot to unpack with that. There's a lot to say about both of them right now, but back in the day, that show was top. It was the king shit. We're talking pre-Critical Role, like a year or more before Critical Role hit the scene. Swan Song was the champion, the top. And a bunch of the community members got together and invented this drug called Blue Fever, based on Adam's GM prep, and the entire game became about Blue Fever. Blue Fever was in almost every episode, and it was a fan creation. Now look, I'm not telling you that this game is going to reach Swan Song levels, because it's not. I'm not that popular, unfortunately. But what I am telling you is, if you guys come up with some cool drugs, I might put them in the game. I mean, look, we already got Synth Coke, SynComp 15, Stim. I mean, these are some basic stuff. And Boost, which, as you know, is sometimes used by boost gangs. However, boost gangs, while they might take boosts, they're more known for their cybering up and murdering people. So we're gonna be talking about that. So that's the second part of this prep. So I need an addictive drug, one or more, plus sleep gun darts. So something on the streets that the low-level pushers are pushing out. We're also going to be talking about gangs. Now, there are 3 gangs that already exist in the city. Taylor's crew is from Nathers' backstory. This is the woman, she used to run nightclubs. Nathers went undercover, he narked on her ass. She runs a booster gang of 50 people, and she moves goods. So people sell their stolen goods to her, and then she is like the end distributor. Okay, we also have the Renegades. They're from, I believe it's from, all right, I'm gonna give you a little bit of extra look into the behind the scenes here. This is my prep. Try not to vomit everywhere when you look upon it. People have told me that they do not like the way that I organize my notes. However, it works for me. Where are we looking at? Renegades are from Spooty, aka Newton Maxwell's backstory. They move weapons and perform hits. So we need to flesh out the Renegades. They aren't strictly a gang, they're a nomad group, but I'm going to treat them as a gang for the results of prep. I don't know how much is going to go into this, into the gangs. But I think I should know about how many people the nomads have. I think I should know who their leader is, what their general philosophy is. All these gangs need that kind of information, right? For instance, well, let's keep going down. My for instance is going to be about the Karens, so we'll get back to that. We also have Bloody Morgan's booster gang. So Bloody Morgan got screwed over by one of the other characters, Bloody Morgan, by Refashionista's character, Maxine Martini. She was a booster ganger. She wins a something or other. What happened? They were chasing somebody. I think they were romantic rivals. Bloody Morgan won. And Bloody Morgan has the Canadian Wildlife Service on her side. So she's the daughter of the director of the Canadian Wildlife Service. But on top of Bloody Morgan being extensively famous, she's also a total sociopath and leads a booster gang. Just to remind you again, booster gangs take Boost, the drug Boost, which gives you +1 int for a while. but it also reduces people to screaming fits of hallucinations. They also love replacing most of their body with combat cyberware and killing people. So booster gangs, not so great. I'm gonna introduce something about the Red Chrome Legion. So Red Chrome Legion they're like a booster gang, so they're not into the drugs. However, they are into the replacing your whole body with combat cyberware and killing people. But the people that they like to kill are non-whites. And actually, Red Chrome Legion in this scenario is gonna be more discerning. So the local Red Chrome Legion branch strikes out Europeans are their first target, and then non-whites. So for context, in this campaign setting, whites refer to light-skinned Caucasian Americans only. If you're from Europe, Red Chrome Legion is gonna reduce your ass down to particulate atoms. All right. So Red Chrome Legion are like neo-Nazi, super authoritarian, no drug, let's say no drug, combat junkies. Zimmers are based off of a man, I think his name is George Zimmer. Let me go over here and take a look. George Zimmer. I'll find his actual name. It is based off of George Zimmer. Not George Zimmerman, chat. George Zimmer. All right, so George Zimmer, you may not know if you're outside of America or you're 20 or fewer years old. George Zimmer is an American businessman who founded a little company you might know of called Men's Warehouse. He is also, or was, their spokesperson for a long time in the Double O's. And he did the commercial, "You're gonna like the way you look. I guarantee it." So the Zimmers are a gang of posers. They all dress like George Zimmer, so they all wear nice suits. I should probably write this down. They all wear nice suits. They all use the catchphrase, "You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it." Now, you should know that I don't actually know how to spell the word guarantee, so that's probably wrong. I spell it so badly sometimes that autocorrect has no idea what the fuck I just spelled and cannot find the right one. What else can I say about them? They get body sculpt jobs to look like George Zimmer. So these guys, just to be clear, this is a gang only insofar as they are an organized group of people that all look like George Zimmer. They don't run drugs, they don't have combat cyberware, they don't engage in combat. They're just kind of like a harmless brethren group, you know, like the Masons, but with less sinisterism and mysticism surrounding them. They just all look like George Zimmer and like looking good and stalk every moment of his life to learn everything about him. You know, like people do for streamers. The Karens, totally physically harmless. They're Karens. Now, they have specifically locked onto MASH Nathers. Alright, so they want to make sure that MASH is Christian, American, moral. They're gonna infiltrate his life by bringing him fruit baskets, seeing if he will date their daughters. They're gonna try to make sure he's not gay. They're gonna try to make sure that he's not foreign. They're gonna do everything that they can to learn about him because he just moved into their neighborhood. All right, he landed in suburban housewife central, and he is in a little bit of trouble because he got on a motorcycle bike with a bad boy. Now, it's Henley, so I think he'll probably be able to negotiate his way out of this using some fast-talking bullshit. But these, I mean, look, I don't think I need to explain what a Karen is to you all. We see them on the television all the time now. It's embarrassing. they're gonna Karen the shit out of him. So they are harmless in a they won't kill you in the street way, but they are gonna start making the lives of Nathers and anybody going near him cop centric. So they're gonna, like, anytime they see, if Mash is not able to placate their fears about him, that he's some sort of European outsider, non-Christian, immoral, and just to be clear, he actually is not American, he is European. So the rest of that, we'll have to find out if he's non-moral. He does kill people for a living, so and I don't know what his religion is. And I also don't know whether he's gay or not. But they're going to do everything they can to figure that out about him, to start checking off some boxes and ruining his life. Publicly, socially, not by murdering him, but by, like, calling the cops to harass him constantly, or standing outside and saying, I don't recognize you. You're not part of this neighborhood. Alright, so Karen's are going to be awful. So Red Chrome Legion... now look, I said I was going to do drugs first, but it looks like I've locked onto gangs, so let's just finish up gangs here. All right, anti-European first, anti-colored people second, local speciality. Would the cops even respond to something like that? Yes, the answer to that's yes. So the neighborhood Mash lives in is a nice suburban area. He lives in a corporate sheltered location, so most of his neighbors all work for the same corporation. And so they're going to call the local corporate cops, who will definitely come and check on him and make sure, you know, they'll do, what do they call it nowadays? They'll do a wellness check on him. Let's say Red Chrome Legion is a pretty big deal around here. And their leader, we'll talk about the leader later. Let's talk about, they probably have several hundred members, but they are distributed throughout Undercity, Old Redline, in collectives of 10 or less. All right, so look, Red Chrome Legion, their primary tactic is to scout businesses by sending one good, wholesome, polite young man in wearing Red Chrome Legion colors. If he is not removed, more show up until that business and the block it's on becomes functionally part of their gang, and then they are less polite. Just be clear, this is based off of real fascist tactics. Ooh, is the leader of the Karens known as the Karen Prime? I like that. So she doesn't have a name, she's just known as Karen Prime. Also, the Karens communicate primarily through BBS. They all have cyber modems at home and use electrode only. They also are a huge fan of VR soap operas. So in the Cyberpunk 2020 universe, you can, BBS is bulletin board system. Oh, sweet summer child. BBS still exists in 2020 as much as they did in the 1998's bulletin board system. So I feel like the leader of the Karens in Redline City is Karen Prime, but she's what do you call them? She's a mysterious figure, communicates only through BBS. A lot of them BBS now, and they meet up publicly, you know, because they all look Karen-ish. They all get body sculpted. I like the idea that none of them have jobs. Ooh, a phone tree. Oh, yes, that's so good. They have a phone tree architect. They are a cell system of local neighborhood operatives using a phone tree. So like you get permission rights in your BBS, and you can only talk to other Karens in your local area. And as you rise through the Karen ranks towards becoming the Karen Prime of your city, you gain access to more areas locally. And so they're like a cell cult of Karens. And the only way to reach other Karen BBSs is to go meet them in person. And so they'll like plan meetups at like parks and stuff, take their kids there, do play dates, ignore the kids while they smoke cigarettes and drink wine in the middle of the afternoon. This is perfect. I'm coming down hard on Karens, but it's only because I am comically overblowing their threat. So let's say that there are 1,000 Karens. That makes sense because there's 18 million people in the city. So 1,000 militant women is not that, well, let's say 1,000 organized corporate wives is not that unusual. It's believable. Red Chrome Legion. What else do I want to say about them? We need a name for their leader. The Zimmers all call themselves George Zimmer. They get their name legally changed to George Zimmer. So, man, what is a good... okay, so normally Red Chrome Legion would have like a European name, right? You know, like Adolf or something. Himmler. But this particular branch of the Red Chrome Legion doesn't have like a Caucasian Eastern European name. They would have a very American name. So maybe something like Jedediah Smith, John Smith, John Taylor. Who is that guy that set off the American Civil War? John Brown? John Henry Brown? That doesn't sound right. I think it's called John Brown. His name is John Brown. That was a man who really wanted to get some automatic weapons. Redfords. Let me get a list of Midwestern American names. Oliver, Liam, Noah, Logan, Benjamin. Benjamin's not bad. That's a very American name. States in the U.S. Midwest. Dwayne. Dale. Wow, Dale is a good name. I'm feeling strongly about that. We need a good last name. A good villainous last name. Regular villain. I'm using a villain generator. Murray, Valenzuela, Ross, Burton. Oh, Burton. Fletcher. Dale Fletcher. Fletcher sounds like, I mean, obviously the art of fletching is making arrows. So, Dale Fletcher. Like it. What would we call him? Normally I'd go to a Ku Klux Klan naming list, but the Klan naming list, just in case you don't know a lot about the Ku Klux Klan, they start all of their names with K's. It's awful. Absolutely terrible. They're really bad at naming things, which really should not surprise you given their general level of capability. Okay, Dale Fletcher. So let's think about circle. So their organization is circle at the lowest level. It's a circle of friends. You know, you and 5, 6, 10 other guys, you get together, you beat the shit out of some Europeans and some blacks and some Asians. You talk about how bad life is and how much better it was when they weren't in charge, and then you stab them to death. Because you're evil psychopaths and you all have really low empathy levels because you're boosted up on Chrome. What would be after a circle? Maybe the whole thing is called so the whole thing is called a legion. So let's look at Roman naming. I mean, they're going to be decurions and centurions, right? It's going to be a centuries. They're Primus Pilus, the first file. All right, so we got cohort, file, circle. So let's say a circle is roughly 10 people. This is really loud. I really should get Drumurboy to alter the sound level on that. By the way, just in case you've never heard this before, this is the official APGamingREAL theme song. Written by Drumurboy almost 4 years ago. A file is 10 circles, and that's roughly one whole neighborhood worth of bad dudes. Let's call it multiple neighborhoods. It's like a whole district of the city. The cohort would basically be someone who operates either the whole suburbs or the old red line or new red line. So let's say that's like 300 people. So 3 files is a cohort, and there are 3 cohorts to cover old red line, new red line in the suburbs. So there's roughly 900 people in the Legion. So they're really not someone you want to go up against. They're very bad dudes. There are a lot of them, and they cover a huge area. I mean, essentially they cover something the size of New York City proper without the suburbs in New Jersey. So a 900-person fascist cyber gang. Again, not really that super surprising. Taylor's crew. All right, so they're not particularly skilled. But very vicious. Oh, and these guys probably cyber chipped. Not actually skilled at firearms, but use +3 chips and boosted cyber abilities. So their real threat isn't their combat capability. Their organization and numbers. So like an individual member of the Red Crumb Legion shooting at you, probably not a bad day. 10 of them shooting at you because you just busted in their headquarters, that's probably way worse. And once they find out where you live, they'll send 100 people to burn your house down overnight. So that is the real threat of the Red Crumb Legion. Individually, they're not really that good. They're just angry people who pick up firearms on the weekend. I saw Cyberpunk Star Wars fans is the only thing he said that I saw. I didn't see anything else about that. Okay, so isn't 100 people to burn a house down a little overkill? Oh, bread thief. Bread thief, bread thief, bread thief. I don't disagree with you that that's true, but I would ask you to check the history of the Holocaust, of Soviet purges, of the American South, anytime between mid 1800s to 1970s. Sending 100 people to burn a house down might be overkill, but the thing about crazy racists is they feel better when more of them are around. So they really only get hyped up when there's a lot of them. Okay, so Taylor's crew aren't skilled, but they are vicious. And more importantly, they aren't... Oh, they are cybered up. They are cybered up with military-grade weaponry. So we're talking missile arms, lasers, claws. Taylor's crew, you know, they probably operate in numbers of 2 to 3 at a time. You know, you got one person selling the drugs, you got one person selling the goods, essentially. You've got the guy looking out, and you've got the muscle who steps in case anything happens, right? That's a 3-person crew. I don't know a huge amount about crime. I essentially know what happens from The Wire, the TV show The Wire. So I think a 3-person crew is probably not a bad plan to end sell goods. You got your salesman, you got the muscle that's nearby to react just in case anything bad happens, and you've got the person that's on Overwatch, essentially. Someone who's going to call out threats, someone who's going to tell you when the cops are coming. Probably that third person is going to be a tech of some kind or a net runner. Maybe they're not even present. Maybe they're just hijacking security cameras and cell phones in the area and listening in privately. What about the driver? I assume that the driver is the muscle at the same time. That's a good call. Maybe the driver is the one doing the Overwatch. Or there's 4 people. But we know that they operate in small teams, essentially. I'm kind of underselling them, making them have less people, because Taylor's crew for sure is going to pull a hit on the party at some point. They're going to roll up in a car and a team is going to come out, guns blazing, cyberware going, missiles firing, and they're going to try to perform a hit on whoever is Taylor's threat, which I think is Maxine. Taylor, it's Mash Nathers. They're going to pull a hit on Mash Nathers. There's a whole gang to do it with. So I'm gonna need to, let me bold this, need to design a hit team to take out Nash. All right, so that hit team is gonna be driver, who is a tech, cyber controls car, guy who sells stuff, probably not that good in combat, but is cybered. One guy who is fucking crazy at combat, and this guy is gonna be clawed up plus micro missile launcher plus assault rifle with AP ammo, and this is the guy that's going to specifically try to kill Nash. And then we've got the team lookout, who they drop off with a sniper rifle and who marks all the targets. So this is the guy who potentially they could see before it happens, right? Someone making a roll could be like, hey, someone's watching us right now, as a car drives up. And 2 people get out and start shooting. So like the cell guy, the team face, is going to come out with a submachine gun and start spraying people down. And, you know, probably like some little cyber gear trick. And zombie guy is gonna come out and fucking destroy them, you know, with a 10 or a 10 body plus maybe some body modifications to give him like an 11 or 12. Huge assault rifle, arm that fires missiles, a laser arm as well. Like, this guy is gonna be some real shit to deal with. Oh, and you know what? They roll up in a white panel van. And Zombie is wearing a Metal Gear. So those are really rare, and they're very expensive, but Zombie's probably just gonna be this fucking lunatic who's like cybered into his Metal Gear. Husqvarna chain? I don't know what that is. Husqvarna chain. All right, so this is pretty typical of Tayla's crew. She's got like 10 groups like this. They roll around town. People sell her stuff, and she distributes it across town. She sells it to people out of town. She buys stolen goods from other towns and sells them here. She takes stolen goods here and sells them somewhere else. Renegades. Let's say that they're small. So they move with maybe 20 people. They are all family, related by blood. They are impressed by discipline and restraint. They do day jobs, picking crops, building decks. At night, they sell illegal arms from their family long-haul truck and perform 1 to 2 hits per town. Oh, sorry. There it is. Thank you, Game Master's Vault, for your follow. 1 or 2 hits per town before moving on. So they are cautious. They have day jobs. They fit in with everybody. You know, they wait in Home Depot in the parking lot, basically. Taking jobs, and then at night they do their real work. So yeah, they could barely live off of what they make doing their day jobs, but at night they buy guns from faraway places and then ship them to bigger places. They stick around in town for a couple of weeks and then they move on, and then they come back later. So they perform 1 or 2 hits, not enough to get the cops on them, and then they leave. They come back later once the heat's died down. So the Renegades, while they're called the Renegades, they're not actually that renegade. They keep it cool, they keep it on the down low, and that is why they've attracted the attention of Newton Maxwell. Newton Maxwell is also a cool character. He keeps it on the down low. We've seen this in character. He is not a moron, and that makes him prime material for the team. All right, you're saying Chromebook 3. Let me go pop Chromebook 3 open. Cyberpunk 2020 folder. Chromebook 3 and 4. Page 30. Husqvarna chain. It is a chainsaw arm. A cyber arm weapon frame manufactured by Husqvarna. Designed around an enlarged big rip frame. The weapon consists of a high-speed chainsaw with replaceable ferroceramic teeth. The big rip is installed in the forearm and extends through a slot in the wrist for an industrial chic. An exhaust port can be installed near the elbow and a ripcord placed near the wrist. That seems like it's really loud right now. Like I'm having to really talk over it. 3d6 armor piercing. Soft armors reduce 2 SP a hit. Okay. Alright, I'll buy that. I could just see this guy replacing his arm with a chainsaw. And you know what? He can just say that it's for his day job. Cutting trees down. I also really want that exhaust port installed so that it's letting off diesel, you know, and it has that roar noise. Yeah, so that as he's getting out of the car, it's like Nemesis from Resident Evil 3. Like when he arrives, everyone's like, oh shit, this is one bad mother. In fact, that's who I'm gonna base him off of. Zombie is based off of Nemesis, for sure, 100%. Okay. Bloody Morgan's gang. What do I say about Bloody Morgan's gang? Well, she's crazy. And she's bisexual. This is all we know about her. So, I don't know. I don't know if I want to make that part of her gang, that she's some sort of omnivorous orgy having. I feel like that might be stepping into a really dark place that I don't want to go down into. I'll take advice from Chad on this, especially if James is around. He's usually pretty level-headed. I was just thinking today that it's not that I don't think I'm ever going to grow to a level that I need business management skills, but it's clear to me that if I was given the opportunity to do this full time, I would need to either take business management or find a stream manager of some kind. I mean, look, I'm not at that JP critical role offline TV level. Is she normal crazy or cyber psycho crazy? That's a good question. She's a member of a booster gang, so she is crazy for sure. Boosters are normally cyber psychos, but I think she might have just been crazy beforehand. Oh, we know that she likes rock and roll, the kind of music that moves the soul. I don't know. I might have to come back to this one. I want her gang to be different than the other gangs here. We've covered a pretty narrow spectrum. I mean, undercover assassins. The renegades are basically like what ninjas were based off of in feudal Japan, right? I mean, all this stuff you see about ninjas is mostly hype bullshit, but there was a very real core of ninjas that were peasants who were basically like, man, this shit is really fucked. I wish these guys would stop screwing with us. And they would use farm tools, which is why a lot of ninja weapons look like farm tools, because they are. Like a kunai is a gardening knife during feudal Japan time. You know, you use it to dig up roots and cut weeds beneath the surface so you can pull all that crap out without too much problem. So I feel like the renegades are kind of the offshoot of that. Man, the volume levels on these songs is really tough to control. I don't know about you guys, they sound really loud to me from time to time. Like, this is gonna be a really cool combat song to play, but Metallica, Megadeth, I don't know. I don't know what type of rock and roll. I don't know what moves her soul. Let's see what else we can determine out of here. I don't think there was a lot. Bloody Morgan. Alright, so she... Well, we know she's Canadian. What is Canadian rock? I mean, are we talking Nickelback? Did Nickelback exist in the 80s? Take a look over here. Canadian rock and roll. Rock music of Canada. Check from the 80s onward. I don't know who Bryan Adams is. I wouldn't call Sarah McLachlan rock to start with. 90s Bare Naked Ladies, I also would not call them rock. I would call them indie, maybe. Alanis Morissette. This is not rock and roll. None of these rock and roll. Avril Lavigne is not a. Oh my god, Wikipedia. What is this? AC/DC. That's not bad. Yeah, I'd be a little afraid to reference AC/DC a lot for fear of some litigious stuff. But that does mean that we can kind of base her entire... Alright, so with AC/DC on the menu, we're talking, what, like Welcome to the Jungle, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, wow, this song has an impact to it. This definitely sounds like something you would play when like a horrifyingly huge monster or like a battle tank shows up. It was rock and roll was Jillian's choice. When she made her character, she also made the bad guy characters that hate her. I'm having trouble finding a greatest hits of AC/DC. The best 10 AC/DC songs ever. A long way to the top. Jailbreak. TNT. Oh, TNT. Thunderstruck. Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Highway to Hell. All right, so they are an explosives gang. So they are demolition experts that make bombs for other gangs. So look, I don't know if you guys know this, but making bombs is hard as shit. You definitely do not want to do it poorly. This is not the kind of thing that you can get wrong more than once. So I love the idea that Bloody Morgan and her gang legally acquire the materials for these bombs and then create the bombs and then sell it to other gangs throughout the city. Bikers as well. All right, I'll throw that in there. Bikers, sure. So Bloody Morgan is protected by Canadian Wildlife Service, but the rest of her gang isn't. What would you need to have a gang full of people that buy and sell explosives? I assume you have to have a front man with a job that would allow them to legally acquire components. All right, so several frontmen. One or more experts in bomb preparation. So these are the people that make it. And then skilled salesmen, who they also need a place to keep them. So Bloody Morgan's is now a motorcycle club. Someone who works in a paint store. Interesting. I think you could buy aluminum powder if you work at a paint store, which is going to give you access to thermite pretty easily. Probably shouldn't talk about that too much. But if you're looking to make thermite, you can figure out how to do it on the internet. Just going to give you quick forewarning though, this is not a casual chemistry experiment. Do not make thermite for shits and giggles. Absolutely follow every instruction. Measure twice, cut once. I would never tell people not to attempt chemistry, but know that thermite is not a fucking joke. I mean, it'll burn through the surface that it's working on before you can blink. It'll also blind you if you look at it. So, thermite. The thing about thermite is it is a key secondary explosive. All right, so just in case you've never taken a class on high energy materials, things like C4 don't explode if you drop a match on them. That's not how it works. In order to be set off, a smaller explosion or something very hot has to whoosh, hit it. And so thermite is that bridge. You light the thermite explodes, the thermite sets the C4 off. Now, of course, thermite's not the only thing, and C4 is not the only second order explosive in existence, but this is why things like C4 have detonators on them. The detonator is a smaller explosive that sets off the larger one. Some of that I might have got wrong, but in my defense, I don't regularly work with explosives. So these guys make everything by hand. They need electronics. Okay. So let's say this is a smaller gang, 20 people, right? You've got several people who acquire different components. They all take their, they let something fall off the back of the truck at work. Right? They order 20 crates of aluminum powder at their paint job and only 18 crates show up, and everyone goes, oh, well, that just happens. 2 crates show up at Bloody Morgan's motorcycle club. Boom. Now, now you've got some of the components. Somebody else is working at Radio Shack and gets you some basic level electronics and some of the more complicated stuff like Raspberry Pi boards and stuff like that. All right, now you've got several of the things you need to make the bomb. You have a bomb maker who makes the bomb. Then you have a person or several people, probably. You're gonna need to have several people because each of these gangs has someone that they won't talk to, right? Red Chrome Legion isn't gonna do business with non-American, non-white people. So you gotta have that particular person on call to deal with Red Chrome Legion. Taylor's crew is going to want to deal with somebody. The Renegades are going to want to deal with somebody else. Edge runners in the city who are looking for something like Det Cord or something else. Yeah. All right. So Bloody Morgan's booster gang isn't a gang so much as it is a criminal consortium. They're like a pirate ship in the Age of Sail, right? Bloody Morgan is the leader, but only insofar as she calls the shots and she gets a little bit extra out of the sale because of the risk she takes. Everybody gets a take of everything. They all meet up in the motorcycle club. It's got a big wooden round table that they all sit around. It's round so they know that nobody's, higher than the other. What do we call these people? I mean, Sam Crow, Sons of Anarchy Motorcycle Club, Redwood Original. That is a pretty cool name. What do we have for Bloody Morgans, though? Because it's not going to be named after Bloody Morgan. It's probably going to be some allusion to the fact that they make explosives. A life insurance program. No, but you know what? I bet you that they probably have a insurance person. So when they aren't making bombs to sell to other gangs, they're going around to local businesses and being like, hey, do you have insurance on your business? And if someone says no, they're like, you should get insurance with us. And they say no. And then they blow up that person's business. And then they go to the guy next door and say, that guy didn't have insurance and his store blew up. You want some insurance? Or your store blows up too? Yeah, they're working a lot of fronts, and probably they have attracted police attention, state police. The issue, of course, is the state police don't want to mess with Bloody Morgan directly because of diplomatic issues. But they will crack any member of her gang or her clients, which means that when Bloody Morgan starts running up against the party because she wants to kill several members of the party, specifically Maxine, there's going to be a slight problem. The state police are going to descend on Maxine like a herd of vultures. Okay, well, now we have a pretty good gang list, considering that before this list was all empty. I think we've got red caps. Not bad. Not bad. I'll accept it for now. I love the idea that they all also wear red hats, though, like red baseball caps. Let's talk about drugs. Some of you might have already been developing drugs that I have not been, because I said I was going to do that first, and then I didn't. Let's talk about what drugs are big in Night City, or in old Redline. Synth Coke, that's a good old favorite. Get that anywhere. Stim. So this is like corpse and mid-level managers. Got a good lead up to it. A little loud though. All right, stim is used by blue collar workers to do overtime and stay up at their desks. Corporate looks the other way. Stim is highly addictive. Let's see what else we got here. Boost for the booster gangs. And also smart people, because it increases your intelligence. Smash is beer, basically. Psychologically addicting. Dorf, which I assume is endorphins. Let's see what it does. Combat drug and painkiller, endorphins to reduce pain and stress effects. Each time you use Dorf, roll an additional 1d10. On a 1, you lose 1 point of ref permanently. Interesting, interesting. Datura in this. I don't know what that means. Is that a drug? Or are you asking for what these things do? Let's not put Dorf in there. Losing 1 point of ref is pretty dangerous. Alright, so now we're gonna build our own drugs. I know I promised we'd do this first, but we're here now. So we need... although drugs are bad news, they are a prominent theme in the cyberpunk genre. Says blah 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 blah. A good idea for referees to build any new drugs before introducing them to play. Drug building requires a pharmaceutical skill check against the difficulty. Okay. The strength of the drug is the power level of the drug. The higher the strength of the drug, the greater its plus or minuses. Drugs come in strengths of 1 to 3. Add the strength of the drug to its base difficulty. Alright. So we want a drug that is a soporific. Puts people to sleep. Difficulty 5. Strength 1. Which makes it difficulty 6. What else do we want about it? Minus strength to save versus sleep. Okay, you can buy down the cost of a drug by buying side effects. These are bad things that balance out the beneficial side of a drug. Psychological addiction will completely remove. The drug reduces reflex at a plate of 1 dose. Reduced intelligence, hallucinations. I feel like it'd be really easy to add these in here. Alright, drug durations vary from dose to dose in a given situation. When a drug is taken, roll 1d6 plus 1 to determine the total amount of time the drug will remain active. Multiply the total difficulty base plus strength minus the side effects to determine the final difficulty of creating the drug. Okay. So, he, and by he I mean, Glimo wanted his character, Pascal, to have a basic drug, so it is, we'll call it Sleep Dart. Difficulty 6. The effect is -1 to save versus sleep. No side effects, and it lasts 1d10 plus 1 turns. Multiplying difficulty level by 25 euros, so equals some 25 times 6. All right, so 150 euro bucks per dart. Let's see here. Better send Glimo. Gives a -1 versus stun save to fall asleep, but it can be resisted by the drug resistance skill. Let's see here. All right, sorry, I got a message on Discord, so I want to read this real quick. That's a person catching up on Battletech. Well, they had something nice to say, so that's always good to get. All right. Now, friends, now we need to make a bad drug. We need to make a highly addictive drug that messes people up pretty badly, hallucinogenic and euphoric. Let's start there. Those are pretty good positives to work with. So that's difficulty 15. I don't have a name for this drug yet. We'll work on that in a minute. Death is not a good side effect. Death is a bad side effect. Coffin nails. Oh boy. Sure, I like it. All right, so we cannot take hallucinations as a negative side effect, because then the trip will always be bad and we don't want that. However, we will take delusions, which is a -5. Delusions mean that they believe everything they're seeing is real. So this is a drug that makes you feel good, it lets you see things, but you think it's all real. What else can we do to make it easier to produce? Psychologically addicting. That's not bad. Sterility is absolutely terrible. Carcinogenic. This drug causes cancer. That's... I mean, no, we need this to be long-term. Psychologically addicting is good for the drug in the long run. -8. Must roll lower than their cool each hour following the last dose. I am open for suggestions. On a failed roll, extreme anxiety. The kind of anxiety that makes you think maybe you're not going to wake up in the morning. Maybe you'll just go to sleep and you'll be dead. You're just gonna die in the middle of the night, you know? It happens to people all the time. They just go to sleep and they never wake up. Their heart stops working, something. Fear, depression. Very difficult endurance check to overcome. Coffin nails. The drug sweeping the streets right now. So in the end, it has a total difficulty of 2 because it's 15 minus 13. And we want it to last for hours. So difficulty is multiplied by 3. So final difficulty 6, lasts 1d10 plus 1 hours. As a result, it is also 150 Eurobucks a hit. You can also get Coffin Nails Light. Which final difficulty is 4. And it costs a little bit less. That's going to end up being 100 Eurobucks. Maybe there's something else we could do for it. What really messed up drug can we do? Let's talk about a combat drug that could be used by some of these boost gangers on the street. We want something that's going to make them increase reflex, which is 15. Enhanced perception, which is 15. Euphoric, 5. And reduced stun. 10. Increase endurance. All right, so this is a big bad drug. All right, so we're looking at 30, 40, 50, 55. So the very first thing we're gonna put onto it is it's carcinogenic and it causes sterility. This is a bad drug. Only bad people take it. You'll die if you take it, but it makes you a little bit better at killing people for now. All right, so we still need to knock off another 20 or 30 points. Psychotic rage. Minus 10 points. Aggressive behavior. Oh, nerve degradation. Minus 15. Enchanté. I don't know what that means. I think I meant to say enchanted, but I didn't. Okay, so that's gonna make it a little bit easier. I still need to cut off about 10 to 12 more points. Physiological addiction. God, this drug is perfect for the soldiers of the Red Chrome Legion. The true leadership gets these young, impressionable, healthy young males to take the drug right before they go on a hit to kill somebody. It jacks them up, it makes them feel good, it makes it so that they can survive the fight real easily, it makes them better at fighting. Then afterwards it ruins their body. But it'll take a couple of years, and by that time they're being replaced. They're not pure anymore, they aren't as good, you know, they have nerve degradation, and so they just get swept under the rug for the new generation, the new kids to come in. What would the Red Chrome Legion call this drug? Something American, something about purity. Oh, and it doesn't need to last long, it only needs to last a couple of minutes. So in the end, it's a difficulty 4 drug. Difficulty 4 drug that costs 100 euro bucks. Apple pie. Wonder if I can call it the Sherman or the M4 or something phonetically like the M4. I've been thinking about the Sherman tank a lot lately. So the M4 Sherman, it's an American tank. You see it and people say that it's not a very good tank compared to some of the bigger tanks of that era of World War II. But the thing that they don't talk about a lot is that for every giant ass German tank or for every IS-2 or IS-3, there are 100 Sherman tanks. And you know what? If you have a bunch of infantry and one giant tank and 100 smaller tanks roll past you, blasting you the whole time, your infantry are going to be dead. They're just going to be dead. So I really feel like the Sherman M4 is a very American way of doing things. You solve the problem by throwing an incredible way too much to handle. So an M4, of course, could also refer to the M4 carbine. I think this drug is going to be called M4. And no one's sure what it refers to. Does it refer to the Sherman? Does it refer to the M4 carbine that the Marines use? Who can say? But the drug makes you just as good as American soldier. I mean, you're right, mass production doesn't make it good, but again, if you have one really good tank and you have to protect hundreds of infantry, and the bad guys, in this case America, have the same number of infantry, but they have 100 tanks, you're screwed, which is how World War II went. You were screwed. They're gonna just sail past you, shoot you in the back with a bunch of Shermans while you fight one Sherman in the front. And maybe you beat that Sherman, and then all of your infantry die getting gunned down by a Sherman tank. Abraham. That does bring about Abraham Lincoln and also the Abraham tank. Maybe that's the street name for it, is the Abraham. Its official designation by the police is M4, in the same way that someone would call it Mary Jane or weed when it's marijuana to the police, to the fuzz. Well, now I have one more drug than I need. Oh, dirt. Got some gangs, we've got the timeline. All right, I'm gonna run you guys through some future stuff, some future plot lines. I'm gonna bounce it off of you. Maybe you have some suggestions. So let's see, we got down here. So Harlan Burns, I think, is gonna feature in pretty early. So this is one of Newton Maxwell's guys. He's a black American. He took in Maxwell's brothers. He's still taking care of the younger brothers, Darren and Orion. Harlan is like a no-nonsense guy. He's the one that taught Newton to stop being a piece of shit. Taught him to be responsible. So I imagine Harlan Burns to be like this somewhat southern crawdad cooking fellow. He dresses like a gentleman, you know. He takes his hat off in front of women. He stands up at the table. He pulls chairs out. He doesn't sit down if the woman's not sitting down. He's a man of honor and responsibility. When he met Newton Maxwell, he thought, I'm taking this kid off the street, you know. Someone has to do something about these damn kids running around in this neighborhood. So probably Harlan still lives quite close to, I put Pascal, but it's actually Newton. All right, so the side quest is Harlan Burns needs help. And what Harlan Burns needs help with is there's a booster gang killing people in his area. Probably Red Chrome Legion. So essentially, the quest is going to kick off after the first job. We're going to follow all of our cyber runners, all of our edge runners, as the team decompresses in the wake of a successful or unsuccessful job. At this point, I think that they're going to be successful, but there are several challenges they haven't faced yet that they still need to overcome. And of course, the success of the job is going to have little to do with what they do inside. It's going to be with the supporting evidence that Nathers puts together. All right, so after the job, everybody's cooling down, and that's when Newton Maxwell gets a call from his brother. Harlan Burns needs help. Harlan is grabbing a shotgun, and he's about to go confront these racist motherfuckers. No one else in the neighborhood will. The Red Chrome Legion are killing in the area. They're taking young men, boys, essentially. They're hitting them up with M4, and they're training them to become combat machines. It's a very African terrorist warlord situation, just done by crazed white American supremacists. The little brothers are trying to get Harlan to not go do this, so they call Newton Maxwell. Assumably, Newton shows up and Harlan says, I have to do this, I have to protect the neighborhood. The only way I'm gonna be able to do this is if I have more people, but someone's gotta stand up to them. Assumably, Newton will offer to do it himself or to go with Harlan with a couple of people. I'll make sure it's very obvious that this is not a one-man job. You know, you don't go kill 10 cyber psychos with just one guy. So the team shows up and they potentially either kill them or maybe they just talk Harlan down. I'm not sure how the party is going to want to handle these things, but that is the offer. Harlan Burns needs help. I'll have to design the cyber psychos for Red Chrome Legion. I think I've got a couple of good maps to use for them. I mean, I got some premium shit maps here. Here's some apartment buildings. Take a look at this. Look at these. This is beautiful. Amazing. Intricately designed. I'm thinking the street, though. The street map. You know, Red Chrome Legion has like a warehouse or something that they work out of. It's like their club space. They run a little business out of there. They do the drugs there, and the party has to hit that. Hit it good in order to help save Harlan Burns. Here's another one. Bartholomew Christ is from somebody's backstory. Good old Barty B. This is a nomad. What is this music? I don't need this. We got Bartholomew Christ. This is from Maxine Martini's backstory. It's someone she had a love affair with. He's currently running with the Renegades, so if Maxine ever encounters the Renegades with Newton, she's gonna go meet up with her old flame. One of our characters had someone in their backstory by the name of Chotai, and I think it is again going to be Newton Maxwell. I'm setting up this one to be a longer term quest. So in episode 2, I think it was, Newton was being shadowed by a Chinese man in Old Redline. That's Shotai's brother. I forget what it's called. I didn't write it down, did I? Let me go take a look at what it's called. Chinese Gray Frog Hawk. So his code name is Gray Frog Hawk. So he is like a solo. He's her older brother. He doesn't really care that Newton Maxwell was dating her at one point and that the two of them are very close now. However, I don't know who Gray Froghawk works for, but they want to hunt down Newton. So I'll leave that anomalous for now, but basically they want to either hire Newton or remove him from the streets. He either works for them or he dies. He's too dangerous to be left alone. So Gray Froghawk is going to be this mysterious solo assassin. I'm going to be giving him very nice weaponry, like a body and a reflex of 12+. He's going to be cybered out the ass. He's going to have a smart gun. He's going to have a sniper rifle and some heavy weapons. Essentially, he's going to be a party that a threat that the whole party is going to have to fight to some extent. And as they get better and have better equipment, they'll be better equipped to fight him. A recurring antagonist, essentially. That secretly stalks Newton. So I'll be leaving those breadcrumbs. The first time he strikes probably won't be for a while. But I like the idea that he comes to interrupt one of their jobs at some point. Maybe the third or fourth one. Lydia, Maxine's on again, off again, works for Robert Lawson, a.k.a. Pascal's brother. So Pascal's brother hates him now. And over here. There we go. They hate each other, murderous rays. He runs a small corporation, so a lot of people in the party have ties to this corporation. It's called Lawson Wellness. It's a cyberware development firm. They work for the European Space Agency, so they develop like cyberware and biological interfaces for people in space. Of course, the ESA is no friend of Nathers, so he's on their shit list. And Lydia is on again, off again on Maxine's shit list. And Leslie Green, who shows up in somebody else's backstory, that is Nathers again. So basically, Lawson Wellness, when it appears, is going to be a villains council of people that don't like the party. Tiara, this is the rocker girl who dated Pascal. She is now dating Bloody Morgan. I don't know where else to go from that. Oh, and the police still want Pascal and Maxine, so if either of them attract police attention, cops are going to jump on them. So I'm not going to let you guys in on what the second job is going to be yet, or any of Dante's backstory, because Dante Fierro is going to be a moderately... I don't want my GM NPC, who used to be my PC, to take up too much space, but I do want to tell the story of an up-and-coming Megacorp kicking in here, and the party are the ones who are the linchpin. They're the vanguard of that effort. By ruining his enemies, it makes it easier for him to get his foot in the door. So I think you got a pretty good look at behind the scenes of what's going on here. You've got a couple of side quests. You got a good look at the gangs, some that we've seen, some that we haven't. I'm willing to answer questions from chat now. If you have any questions outright, if you have suggestions, I'll even make a suggestion tab here. Sun Spirit, I know that you had some suggestions you wanted to throw around, not to call you out personally, but if you have something to say, now's the time to say it. Or you can hold up Dre. A unique opportunity, offering people open discussion. I'm actually surprised at the number of people watching this right now. I'm glad, of course, that none of my players are watching this live, but a couple of them might sneak onto YouTube. Even worse, though, is last time I did something like this, people just PM the player. An Akira-like bike gang. Now, the thing you need to know about Akira is that I only saw it once. I lived in West Virginia at the time, so I couldn't have graduated high school yet. I watched it on a burned DVD, and it was a snow day. There was too much snow, so we couldn't get to school, and I saw Akira. I don't know anything about the bike gang. What I remember is Akira had some godlike powers. He could do some weird shit. The police wanted him. And at the end of the thing, he caused an atomic nuclear explosion, recreated the universe, and then the universe became the beginning of the film Akira. So it's just a time loop. That is what I remember about Akira. And it had some good art. And that iconic motorcycle. I know nothing of the gang. So you're gonna have to tell me what more you want out of this gang. Hey, look, that chainsaw arm is some premium shit right there. I mean, that's going on Zombie for sure. I'll have to design him tomorrow or something. I don't really like making characters. I should say, if you guys want to submit characters to me, like booster gangers, people with a lot of cyberware and low empathy, that aren't terrible at shooting. Sorry you came in late. What are we doing? Well, we're actually wrapping up. We got done making drugs. We got done making gangs. We explored some of the future side quests, and right now I'm taking suggestions. We're also listening to weird... That's one. I do need a bar. So we already have the Dread Gazebo Cafe. Coffee Cafe. That's not enough ease. But we also need the name of a good cyber bar where these kids can hang out at. You know, will religion be a theme? Yes. And there are several religions that have already popped up. Cyberpunk has pretty much got religions locked down. I'll send you a link on Cyberpunk religions. It has several officially approved religions. So Christianity, Islam, Judaism, the beatified circle of Celts, the immortal pyramid, the worshippers of the night. Worshippers of the night are the people that met with Newton Maxwell. The coalition against the Satanic Fellowship, those are religion cult that believes that all the gods are terrible, they're all evil, and that we should kill them. And realism is a religion based off of the idea that we all live in a matrix and we're all programs. So it's pretty meta. Buddhism's also pretty big. The LoJack, a caustic colostomy bar, does not sound like it is going to get many viewers, and Valhalla is a little too on the nose. But the LoJack isn't bad, especially if it's like a LoJack Netrunner bar. Oh, it's like a matchmaker bar where netrunners can meet up with other edge runners. You know, so people who do solo net runs and find interesting information can sell it to people who can do stuff with it, and vice versa. Someone who finds an encrypted file or interesting information can head to the LoJack and sell the information to a netrunner who can then do something with it. I guess it could also be a place where edge runners meet overall. What kind of theme are we talking about? I'm thinking LED strings hanging down from door frames like bead curtains. Yes, Yarkernaut, colostomy is not my bag. You got me there, you doubled down on the joke. Alright, LED strings. Let's cyber up a shitty like drug house, drunk people house, chip paint giving way to black light graffiti. So as the lights rotate through their colors, you can see that the walls had something on them previously, but when they're, oh yeah, industrial neon factory, I like that. It's like a really tall loft situation, right? The walls are really shitty and have you know, haven't been cleaned in a while. But when the club black lights shine on them, you can see these beautiful graffiti paints. And the graffiti is probably hidden messages for edge runners, right? Like it would tell them where to go if you need to pick up weapons, drugs, bombs, if you need jobs, tell you who's trustworthy and who's not, if you know how to read it all. Bead curtains. How do the bartenders act? That's a great question. Bartenders and service staff. I know some people really like those, I'm gonna call them tsundere bars, and I actually don't like them. You know, like the ones where if you come in with a tie, they cut it off, and the staff treats you like shit. I'm actually not big on those kinds of bars. But it might make for an interesting place, but I don't know. You guys let me know. You could have, you know, high, upstanding, gentlemanly bartenders who, you know, take your drink in order. They always start with the women first, and then go from oldest to youngest. Just like a general bro bartender type situation. Someone who's really happy to take your drink. Maybe they're overworked, but they'll get to you eventually. They put a little bit of flair into their, you know, they do like the flipping. I don't go to bars a lot, guys. I think it probably shows. I prefer to drink privately. What else can I do to make this place upstage shitty? Oh, it's gotta have data ports everywhere. Protected data ports. Oh, and you know what? They have a no phone policy. You have to check your weapons and electronic listening devices. at the door. Disable cyberware. Well, no, that's probably a little extreme. Maybe they check you for electronic listening devices because they think you might be a cop. But if you bring in cyber listening devices, that's the kind of life-changing alteration a cop normally isn't going to get. Only someone who's in this lifestyle would have it. But they have a Netrunner Spider on staff. Check everyone on the floor. So Nathers is going to be fine. He's got a lot of digital listening cyberware, but he's also got an encryption. Ooh, a camera and monitor with someone on the other side and they do your order. Remote ordering. Hacker den feel. So like futons, scattered chairs and tables, lots of fluffy, bouncy padding. Those workout ball chairs, empty standing desks if you want to be alone and plug into the wall. So like if you want to connect to the local LDL net, you can go to a standing desk and just like hold on to it and then jack in, and then you'll be alone by yourself. Let's talk about the upper loft. I really do like that remote ordering. That's pretty cool. So like VIP section. Oh shit, this place is probably owned by that person who hates the other people. It's the person who hates Nathers. It is Taylor. Yep, Taylor's gang runs this place. Taylor's crew. Perfect. So when Nathers goes in there, they're going to be tracking him the whole time, every step. But they don't publicly advertise that they own the place. VIP section, basically fixers only, and their edge runner compatriots. Hire for jobs, set up meetings with Johnsons. I'm just gonna borrow that from Cyberpunk, or from Shadowrun. Johnson is the name of whoever you get your job from. Yeah, it's like a fixer-only place, so like, if you know people, you can get up there, and if you don't know people, you can't get up there unless you're escorted by your fixer. So for instance, Newton, can't get up there, but Pascal, Maxine, both, the red carpet will part for them. Or sorry, the red velvet rope will part for them. Okay, we got the low jack. Anything else you guys want to see in here? Any other ideas before we wrap up for the night? Doing better than I thought, honestly. Well, I'll tell you, tomorrow night we're probably going to do some BattleTech, A Time of Total Warfare planning to talk about Task Force Bulldog and Operations Serpent. Task Force Serpent. Let's keep that in mind. Guys, you've been well behaved for now. Keep it cool. Don't talk about it on Discord. Don't talk about what happened here in a way that you can spoil the chat. Be cool, guys, be cool, or you won't be invited back to the LoJack. All right, we good? I'll see you tomorrow night if you want to drop by for some more stuff. If not, I'll see you on Wednesday. Hopefully Spootnik is feeling better. Sounds like he's doing all right now. And we'll do some cyber. You and me will cyber together. Just you and me. Probably a couple other people. I mean, it'll be a big cybering.